Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you 2 tips you can use to make your rhythm drum sound better. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So in this, I just have a blank project file. I just have a sidechain track here that we'll utilize eventually, but I wanted to delete everything I usually have in here. That way we could start from scratch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple tracks. I'm going to group these together and then we'll rename these drums. I'm going to do a kick, we'll do a snare, and then we'll do a clap. From there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple more tracks. I'm going to group these together. I'm going to call these my tops, and then I'm going to ungroup those from the top tracks by dragging them away from our main group. Now we have 2 separate ones, and then I'll just color code them as well. So we'll pick some ugly colors here. We'll do yellow, and then we'll do like light blue for these, and then we can assign the track color to clips. Now we have something like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pick out some drum sounds. So I'm just going to go into my folder here. Usually I'd utilize splice, but let's just pick kind of whatever that's in here. Something like that could work. And then let's try to find a snare. Something like that could work for our clap, and then let's try to find an actual snare. Something like that, maybe. Cool. So we have a kick, snare, and clap. I'm just going to go ahead and warp these into time because they sound a little bit off. And then what I'm going to do is start making a little drum pattern here. So something like that, and then we'll go through and we'll start to EQ a little bit just to make some room. So go ahead and grab a EQ here. Usually I have one already populated on my snare when I'm starting a project, but we'll just load one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag these saturators at the end. These auto load on my tracks with the soft clip on so nothing's clipping, and then we'll kind of shave off some of the low end on these. And then we also don't really need that decay. That one sounds nice and punchy, but I am going to drag some of that decay, and then I'll just consolidate it so it's not too long. And then what we're going to do is we're going to boost a little bit of high end here. We'll mix these together. And then let's take a look at our kick. So kick sounds pretty good. We do have a little bit of kind of like mid muddiness here. Sounds like right in there. Cool. And now we can go ahead and layer the 2 together. Cool. Now, sounds pretty decent, but what we can do is we can go ahead and start to move to our hats to fill in the empty space in between. So the main thing about rhythm drums are they need to have some type of swing to them so that the basses can swing along with it. So if we go ahead and just pull some hats here, the main trick is to offset them. So let's go ahead and just grab this hat, and then what we can do is we can put these on the offbeat. But what you want to do is add these and slide them a little bit over. So maybe if this one's hitting right on the beat, you want this one over here to slide a little bit over, so that way there's some swing to it. So it could just be a small amount, or if you really want to get crazy with it, it could be a pretty big amount. So you can't really even tell that the second one is off. You could even shuffle this one a little bit off too if you wanted to, just a little bit, just to have some more swing. And then you can see how far this one's off, almost a full bar. So if we loop this, you really can't even tell. So it has a cool effect. Now you want to do the same thing with the other ones as well. So let's go ahead and try to find maybe a ride here. That one's cool. I'm going to add a little bit of a fade at the beginning here so it's not super competing. We are going to dial in some sidechain. And then what we can do is we can utilize these volume parameters within each clip. And then you can also offset these a little bit, and you can either do that by actually dragging the clip over to the right or the left, or you can mess with your fades a little bit, dragging those to the right or left as well. Cool. And then you could also add like a crash as well. And this could be cueing on the kick and the snare. Again, offset this just a little bit with our fades, and then we'll lower the volume on that one quite a bit. Gonna go ahead and turn on repitch mode. And now you have a nice swing. So that's the first tip. Make sure that you're swinging your drums. You could do this with the snare and the clap, but I find having it align with the kick on your first and your third bar are really what's going to make and add a lot of impact to your drums. So now that you have your tops, what you can do is you can actually start to post-process a little bit. So this is going to be where the second tip comes in. Make sure that you're leaving room for your kicks and your snares, your main components. That way you can think of your hats as being in charge of controlling the swing, and your other top elements and your kicks and snares can be providing the main impacts and what everything is sidechained to. So for the drums, we already did a pretty okay job with that. What I like to do with my tops is I'm just going to add a EQ8 here, and then I'm going to scoop out like everything below 500. So sounds like this. That way there's no like muddiness that's competing with our kick or snare. And then we'll also lower this hat. Lower our ride a little bit as well. Now, the secret weapon that I actually like to use is if we go into our glue compressor and then we go into our drum full parallel, we can actually drag one of these and you can hear how drastic of a difference it makes. So if we go ahead and play it without the drum full parallel processor and with it, it levels everything out. It adds a soft clip, makes everything a little bit louder. So it definitely adds some more transient, some more punchiness to the actual sounds. For me, I don't see a lot of people using this full parallel processor anymore since they added the drum bus, but I think this full parallel processor is actually a little bit better, at least for the certain cases that I use. But experiment with either the drum bus or the parallel processor. That way you can add some more punch to your snares and your kicks. Of course, you can dial this in a little bit more. And then do the same thing for your tops. Let's go back into our glue compressor here, full parallel. Really just get those all in control. Now, last but not least, add your sidechain. So for me, I have the sidechain track set up. I'm just gonna drag my kicks there to act as the trigger, grab a compressor, throw that on my tops, and then I will grab the sidechain here, drag this down to maybe closer to 20 decibels and put the ratio up to around 4:1. And then you can see that these are really ducking when the kicks and the snares hit. And now you can take something that sounds maybe plain when you have everything on the actual timeline to something that's shifted and sounds a little bit more swingy. Now, if we actually took this a step further and we try to throw some bass in here, let's go ahead and open Serum. We'll design something really quickly here. And then what we're gonna do first is actually grab a group and we'll grab that sidechain here as well. That way we can kind of have that swing be implemented with the kicks and the snares already. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab an E here and then the same thing with our tops. Let's shift each note over a little bit. That way it gets a little bit more swing. So you can see that's already demonstrating some swing there. Let's go ahead and design something really quickly. Add a filter on here. You want to have your curve offset a little bit as well. Turn our trigger mode on, and then let's pick some wavetables here. Again, I like Nasco's presets here. Let's add some FM to it. Maybe add a sub here and we'll add some EQ to take out the actual bass from the actual preset. And then add our LFO to our level as well. Add some distortion. Maybe some dimension as well. And I like to modulate as well. And then maybe a little bit of white noise as well. I like to use just the bright white. And then you can see that because of the offset, we have a nice little swingy pattern here. Obviously, that's a really basic example, but I think you get the point. So by adding offset to your tops, having your kicks and your snares at your main foundation, and then adding effects that can make your kicks, your snares, everything punch through, level them out, you can really get something that sounds less like Riddim, very straightforward, to something that really has a nice swing to it that will really make kind of your head bob. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you learned something from today's video. But with all this being said, thank you for watching, and we will see you again in the next one.